Hey everybody, welcome back to the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you very much for sending in all your questions. Keep them coming. Make sure you subscribe to the blog. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Snapchat too. Dan Sfer is my username. And then, just as always, you can call or text 949-415-6256. So I'm filming this on Facebook Live today as well, so we'll see how that goes. I've been playing around with some live streaming lately. I've been doing Periscope for quite some time, stopped doing it, recently started getting back into it, and since then Facebook has done Facebook Live, so now I'm on it as well. So make sure you follow me on Facebook also, because you might get to see these videos being made live. Go to facebook.com/dansfair. You can find it underneath the YouTube video, or if you're on the blog, on the bio page. So I got a request by one of my CRA students, actually a potential CRA student, for my July Academy. So if you're interested, now is the time to get a hold of me, okay? They want to know what all the different types of careers that are possible in the clinical research industry. And there's no way I'm going to get to cover all of them, but I'm going to cover some of the most common ones and just kind of give a brief, very brief overview of what some of those careers entail. So I'm going to start with research sites, and then I'm going to go to CROs, and then I'm going to go to sponsors. But of course there are vendors in this industry for just about anything you can think of. There's laboratories, there's IRBs, which are considered vendors. There's companies like Intralinks, which are software as a service companies, enterprise software companies, you name it. But I'm just going to stick to the research sites, the CROs, and the sponsors, right? And maybe get into some of the IRBs. So let's start with the research site. At the research site, you have the backbone of any research site is the study coordinator, right? Also called clinical research coordinator. They literally do everything at the site and then some. Monitors have told me, numerous monitors have told me, and I've heard this saying over and over again, that a good study coordinator is worth their weight in gold. And when I was a study coordinator, I didn't really know what they're talking about, but as a business owner that employs a lot of study coordinators, I totally agree with that statement. They literally do everything, all right? We all know the PI, which we should get into that now. Principal investigator is another position. They are the ones that are in charge and responsible for the entire trial at that site. They are responsible for the conduct of the research for whatever protocol they're the principal investigator on at the site level, all right? But they delegate. There's something on for every study that's called a delegation of duties log, where the PI can outsource many of their tasks that the protocol calls for to be done by, most of the time, it's study coordinators, okay? So study coordinators do everything from scheduling patient visits, dispensing medications, making sure the PI's schedule fits when the patient comes in, coordinating the monitor schedule so that they can meet with the PI, answering queries, entering data in the EDC, collecting source data, noting and recording adverse events, noting and recording medical history, noting and recording concomitant meds. Coordinator does everything, okay? PIs, they're responsible for everything. Typically they'll do things that only an MD can do, like certain assessments, physicals, they'll review lab results, they'll review ECGs, they'll decide whether an adverse event or a serious adverse event is clinically significant or not. They'll also determine whether an AE or an SAE is related to the study drug. This is called causality. So that's a principal investigator. Then also at the research clinics, you have sub-investigators, and they're typically physicians, but they don't always have to be. And they don't have full responsibility of the protocol like the principal investigator does, but they're assigned certain tasks that only an MD can do, or someone with more specialized training than a study coordinator can do. So you can be at a research site, you can be a study coordinator, you can be a principal investigator, you can be a sub-investigator, you can also be a clinical research assistant. Not to be confused with CRA, which we're going to get into right now, but a research assistant. So this is somebody who assists the study coordinator. Typically they have the task of entering data the perfect entry-level job at a research site level is someone to enter data and someone to help with patient recruitment and just someone to assist the coordinator in their daily duties. So some research assistants are also medical assistants, so they're certified to draw blood and collect vital signs and process the blood samples and ship them out to either the central labs or their local labs. So a research assistant is a great way to get your foot in the door if you are a medical assistant or someone interested in becoming a study coordinator, but maybe you can't get hired as a study coordinator anywhere because you don't have the experience. So start out as a research assistant, right? So you get research assistant, you've got clinical study coordinator or clinical research coordinator, you've got principal investigator, you've got sub-investigator. That pretty much encompasses like 90% of the jobs at a research site. Now, there's some sites have people that do just data entry, some staff that just do patient recruitment, but for the purposes of this video, just know those 4 different roles. Now, at the CRO level, right, and if you don't know what a CRO is, they are the ones who manage the study. They select the sites. They work directly with the sponsor. They're like the liaison between the sponsor, who doesn't really want to deal with the sites necessarily, and then the research sites. So they go in there, they send out monitors. Their most important function is actually that they employ the monitors, which are also referred to as clinical research associates or CRAs. These are the people that come out and monitor or audit the sites and the studies, and they develop a pretty good rapport, sometimes good, sometimes bad rapport with the sites, and especially with the study coordinator. That CRA study coordinator relationship is really important in research and rarely ever talked about anywhere. Extremely interesting and important dynamic in research. CRAs, this is what I'm training people on doing. It's very difficult to get hired as a CRA unless you have some kind of experience. My academy will allow you to get some internship experience on your resume as an in-house CRA for my research clinics and the SMO that I'm building, and I'm sort of reverse engineering a CRO in the process. So it's very difficult to get hired as an entry-level CRA, although it is possible, but it's very difficult and it's not common, right? It does not happen the majority of the time. Usually they're looking for experienced CRAs. They make about 6 figures or more, sometimes multiple 6 figures a year. The person who's teaching the CRA Academy with me, she makes multiple 6 figures a year. An entry-level person who I just helped, one of my first students who just finished the academy, entry-level, just negotiated a $90,000 salary plus benefits. So it's possible to get hired with just internship experience, but you need to demonstrate that you have a working knowledge of the business, you have a working knowledge of the fundamentals in the industry, and that you also have gotten your hands dirty and played around with EDC, remote monitoring tools, that you understand how to manage sites and how to audit sites and how to monitor sites. That's a CRA. Oftentimes you can't get hired as a CRA if you don't have experience, so you got to go one step below a CRA, which is a clinical trial assistant or a clinical trial administrator. Not to be confused with the assistant at a research clinic. There are CTAs and clinical research assistants who assist the CRAs, so they take care of a lot of the clerical stuff, a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the grunt work that a CRA has to do. Another job title is regulatory affairs or in-house regulatory, or sometimes safety coordinators, where they're in charge of looking at SAEs, aggregating the SAE reports, the SUSARs, and then sending them out to the sites. So if you can't get in as a CRA, your next best bet is to get in as a in-house regulatory affairs specialist, a safety coordinator for a CRO, or a clinical trial administrative assistant, right? Then they have data managers, which is on the EDC side. These are people that are experienced with IT, information technology. They look at the EDC systems, the data capture, electronic data capture systems. They know how to issue queries, they know how to flag things, they know how to do basic analytical activities so that the study directors and the medical monitors can analyze the data as it's happening in real time, which is something that is actually lending a hand into evolving the monitoring. So now we have risk-based monitoring and we have remote monitoring and a whole bunch of other stuff I've done videos on. So you have data managers, Then you have project managers who, I mean, the name pretty much gives away what a project manager does. They manage the entire study, so they're in charge of all the CRAs. Also, there's clinical team leads, which are the lead CRAs. And sometimes a study will either have a project manager or a senior CRA or a lead CRA or both, depending on the particular protocol. And project managers typically get paid a little more than CRAs, but from what I hear, the job is way more stressful, and many CRAs who have made the leap to being project managers quickly decided that they were happier as CRAs, so they go back to being CRAs. Then you have medical monitors, which I've done a video on before. And medical monitors are doctors, MDs, that are hired by the CROs to pretty much help answer sites and their questions when a patient gets an adverse event or a patient has an SAE or a protocol waiver is needed to get a study participant randomized or included in the study. So they make medical decisions, and they usually collaborate with the principal investigators at the sites to determine causality and things of that nature. So in a nutshell, and I'm trying to keep this video brief, those are some of the roles in clinical research, and these are things that people have apparently been having questions on. So hopefully this video helps you out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. If you're interested in learning more about how to get a career in clinical research, give me a call, 949-415-6256. Take care.